will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will faithfully execute the office of
Power is a lot like real estate. It's all about location, location, location. The closer you are to the source, the higher your property value. Centuries from now, when people watch this footage, who will they see smiling just at the edge of the frame?
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Velkommen til Films TV. Den 1. februar er der verdenspremiere på den amerikanske tv-serie House of Cards. Og det er lidt af en unik begivenhed. Ikke blot fordi hele seriens første sæson bliver udgivet den samme dag, men også fordi det er nettjenesten Netflix, som står bag føljetongen. Serien kan udelukkende ses på Netflix, og du kan læse Nadia Papos begejstrede anmeldelse af seriens 2 første fremragende episoder inde på Films. Derudover er der en lang række prominente personligheder, som har været med til at stable serien på benene. Foran kameraet finder man garvede skuespillere som Kevin Spacey og Robin Wright, og bag kameraet finder man en af Hollywoods absolut største instruktører, David Fincher, manden bag nyklassikere som Seven og Fight Club. I serien har Kevin Spacey hovedrollen som en amerikansk politiker, der blev snydt for en ellers lovet post som udenrigsminister. Dernæst går han i krig med sit eget parti for at få hævn. Og Films TV var for nylig i London for at tale med Spacey om hans første hovedrolle i en tv-fiktionsserie i 25 år.
And if I don't play alone,
will cleave you from the herd and watch you die in the wilderness.
For me, it's a little bit like I feel like we're making a really long movie, because by getting 26 episodes or chapters, as we kind of like to call them, getting that much of an order means that from a writing perspective, we know where it's going over a long period of time. So I feel like I've just spent 13 hours playing a really awesome game of chess. We had a great and beloved series here in Britain, House of Cards, from the 1990s, the BBC series, which is really a delicious and diabolical show. And sort of using that as a launching pad into bringing the idea of examining and exploring the politics of power in a modern, real 21st century way has been a lot of fun. I hope people have as good a time watching it as we had making it.
But do you think this is truthful, that it isn't really this nasty behind the scenes?
I think you know, there are moments when you are sort of watching the political scene and you think things are a bit crazy or overblown, or things are made into big stories that are really nothing and minute, and particularly in the sort of political world, things that are important and that you really hope politicians would focus on, they quite often don't. So I think it'll be interesting for an audience to watch a fictionalized Congress, a fictionalized presidency, and you know, at a time when we have a Congress that's very stagnant and has the last Congress was the least productive Congress in the history of the United States, passed less bills than any Congress ever. And so it'll be interesting to see how an audience responds to a politician like Francis who gets shit done. You know, he's effective, even though he's, you know, diabolical. The focus of what studios were making over the last decade seems to have shifted to the bigger tentpole kind of films. And so it completely makes sense to me that the writers that wanted to explore places and characters and plots that you just aren't given the opportunity to do in a lot of feature films, or if you end up making an independent feature, it's so hard to raise the money for it, it's so difficult to get a real genuine release for it, that it makes sense to me why some of the best actors and writers and directors have moved into television, because there is a void and a gap. So it made sense that, in a way, David and I waited until this opportunity at this moment to be able to do this show on Netflix, which is, you know, to some degree, I think a shifting paradigm is happening, and it's quite exciting to be a part of it. I think you're going to start seeing that more of these companies are going to step up and start greenlighting their own productions, and I think that's great for the business, it's great for the economy.
It's so interesting that when you worked with David Fincher the first time on Seven, he was still a very young and fresh director. It was before he arguably became one of the biggest names in the movie business, and while he was making his 16th Chapel, I'd say. And now you're working with him again. How would you compare the David Fincher of then?
He's not much different. I mean, it didn't much matter that he wasn't in other people's minds yet had achieved. I think he always was a tremendous filmmaker. Demanded perfection from every department, and his results were extraordinary even back then. I think the films he made 7 included, are films that will stand the test of time. So he is, you know, I hope I'm a better actor after 10 years of doing primarily theater and working with some incredible directors, and there's no doubt that he's a better director now with all the experience that he's had. So it's just coming together with him has been sublime.
Det var alt for denne gang på Films TV. Husk, at det allerede er her på fredag, altså den 1. februar, at der er verdenspremiere på House of Cards på Netflix. Du kan naturligvis læse meget mere på netflix.dk. Husk, at du kan finde alle vores tidligere Films TV-udsendelser på Films under Films TV-fanebladet, og også på videovideo.dk, i iTunes og via vores gratis video-app.